Here we go. Right off the bat, let me just say I'm not looking out for spoilers or non-spoilers. I'm just going to talk openly and freely about it, include any details, pertinent details from the movie. So if you're watching this and you haven't already seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, get out, leave now. Okay, let's get into it. So I can't get a good drum roll. Here? No. My life fell. Book. I'm sad. I'm scared. Ah. Is that good? Okay. That's our drum roll. Here it is. Unfiltered, raw, full of spoilers. My thoughts on Doctor Strange. I liked it. I don't think it's like anything too crazy, right? I don't think it's anything like super like out of this world, but it's good. It's it's not bad. It's good. It's good. I mean, even more than not bad, it's good. I'd say it's good, right? Not bad implies that it's just like, okay, whatever, acceptable, right? But it goes beyond that. I'd say it's good. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's fun. And I go to time with it, right? There are some things that I had kind of issues. I don't know if issues is the right word. Just questions, I think. Mainly questions. Yeah, questions, doubts, right? But yeah, overall, very enjoyable. Fairly enjoyable. Let's take a look at my notes. So I love the chaotic nature behind taking notes in the middle of a dark movie theater, because you never know how they're going to come out. I'm basically just writing blindly on a piece of paper, hoping that it makes sense, hoping that I'm able to make sense of it afterwards. So let's see. All right, very first one. Wanda, bad guy. Let's go. Yeah. I was very happy with that, actually. I liked it. I liked the whole like introduction of it too, right? I like the fact that like Strange goes to find her for help, right? For help. So presumably leading the viewer to believe that, okay, maybe they're gonna be, they're gonna start, right? The beginning of the story, the beginning of the movie, they're gonna be like kind of side by side. And then, whatever Wanda has going on, she'll do what she has to do later on. But we didn't even get that far, right? It didn't even allow us to get that far. It was just right off the bat, like Strange, goes to talk to her, and right away she just blows her cover, right? Whether it's on accident or not, it is what it is, and it's great. It's great for it, I find, because right like from the start, you're getting those malevolent intentions from her, right? All of a sudden, we're seeing, right off the bat, we're seeing Wanda, not the same Wanda, right? We're seeing a different Wanda. We're seeing a different side of her, a side that was not the same that we saw in WandaVision, right? She's different. This is different. She's now no longer just Wanda. She's more the Scarlet Witch, right? Because of all the time, because of what we saw in essentially the after credits for the last episode of WandaVision. She spent a lot of time checking out that Darkhold, and she found out a couple tricks. She's been radicalized, essentially. She's seen the truth, and she's not putting up for it any longer. And this is it. This is her. She's willing to lie right off the bat. I love that, right? That she's immediately like, she's just lying to try to deceive and get her way, right? And then after that, we get, the attack on, I forget the name of the place. Let me look it up. Kamartaj. So immediately after that initial scene, which is great, man, you know what? I can't like emphasize how great that is. Like to have it just like so soon into the movie, right? and just to have like such a clear, distinct presentation of Wanda and her intentions, right? And the character that she's going to be in the movie. It's perfect. It's great. It's so good. And the thing is, it's so necessary too, because as I mentioned, this is not the same Wanda that we saw in WandaVision, right? This is Wanda influence, right? With a very strong influence of the Scarlet Witch after spending considerable time studying the Darkhold, right? And the and also this is also something brought to life by Elizabeth Olsen in her performance, and it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, like the willingness to lie, right? The way once she kind of like drops the facade and like reveals how everything actually is, right? The hex per se. Once she drops the hex and starts talking to Strange just openly, right? Frankly, just the way that she's talking to him, right? Very like completely different, right? Completely different. Like she's a force to be reckoned with, and she knows it. She knows that she's a threat, right? She knows that she can essentially do what she wants, right? There is essentially no one that can stop her, right? They can try, but yeah, that's who we're dealing with. And man, she just delivers that so well, and just the way she delivers the lines and the way she talks to him, it's so good. It's so good. And just to have that as an introduction to her, man, so good. So good. Can't stress it enough. I think it's safe to say that Elizabeth Olsen's performance in general is just like the standout for this movie. She did great. Especially being the case that she essentially just was playing, it was the same character but a different version of the same character, right? So it's not, it was something she had to like completely essentially switch it up, right? While also still embodying the same character, right? So that can be complicated, but she nails it. She absolutely nails it. She nails the like scary, like menacing, like threatening, right? Menacing, just cruel, just like cutthroat, everything that you would essentially expect from a villain, right? She nails it. She nails it perfectly. I mean, more than once throughout the movie, I just thought to myself in my head, I'm like, damn, Wanda's a bitch. Yeah, that bad. Like man, she was doing some fucked up shit. Can we say one of the scariest villains in all of the MCU? I think it's safe to say, because my God, and the way she disposes of like the people that confront her. Oh, jeez, bro. Honestly, ugh, intense. Definitely I would say definitely the most intense that we've seen out of any MCU movie thus far. I want to say it was kind of like on the level of Moon Knight, right? It wasn't anything too graphic, but man, they did such a good job with just like the little amount of blood that they're allowed to show, to still categorize it in as a PG-13 and not have it go up to R. The limited amount of blood, plus just like the fashion and just like the way her disposal of like the those that went up against her specifically. Yeah, it was just so well done. And she's just and she just delivers that so well. Just cruel, heartless, vicious, man, scary shit. Yes, for sure. I think very easy to say one of the scariest villains, right? Not only that, but just like in terms of the power, right? The power output as well. I mean, I think it's safe to say, bro, that she's stronger. She poised more of a threat than Thanos, presumably, right? Because she's definitely stronger. She definitely has more power output. Though I guess the only thing kind of like holding her back from being like a complete like utter like diabolical villain. It was the fact that she wasn't really looking to hurt anyone, although she was, you know, she was definitely, yeah, inflicting some pain. But that wasn't her goal, right? Her goal was just to get to her kids, and kind of just like anyone that got her in the way, like you're gonna get fucked up. Yeah. So I think that's the only thing that kind of like holds her back from being just like an all out like crazy villain, right? Um, but regardless, yeah, that shit was scary. And not only so, it's the performance, it's Wanda, it's the character, right? It's the writing, and it's also just the movie itself. You know, the like the cinematography, the shots. There were like some like minor jump scares, right? Um, bro, done so well. Her appearance as well, right? Just like when she took over her other version of herself that was kind of just like a regular like stay at home mom, and then you got just like her, just, you know, she's just normal. I think she had sweatpants and like a sweater, right? And just normal attire, right? Normal mom, like stay at home mom attire. And then she's just like covered in blood. And it's just like, oh, okay. You know, gives me like some cool, like Carrie vibes, you know, like some real, like old school, like horror type vibes. Really cool. Really well done. I loved it. It was everything, you know, everything just came together perfectly to deliver that. It was very, I loved it. I loved it. So good. As far as Doctor Strange, cool. I think he did a good job. Hey, it's me. One day later, I'm currently editing the video, and in this part, I realized that I do not talk about Doctor Strange at all. Like, that's it. I just literally say he's cool, and then I go on to talk about America. I guess my thoughts on America and Wanda were just kind of like more solidified in my mind, and maybe I feel like maybe I intended to come back to Doctor Strange, maybe talk about him a little bit more later on in the stream when I was doing it live, but that never happened. Actually, having had the chance to kind of like just sit on it a little bit more and think about it, Doctor Strange's story, his progression, it's actually something to be noted in this movie, right? Because let's think about Doctor Strange as a character, what we know about him, what we've been shown, and what he's gone through, right? The first movie, Doctor Strange, you know, introduces us to him as a very, you know, he's arrogant, right? He thinks he's the best, he's right. And then of course he goes through his accident, has this experience, gets humbled a little bit, right? We see him again in Infinity War next time. He still has that arrogance, right? Only now it's kind of like directed towards a different field, right? First he was very arrogant in his field of medicine, as a doctor, as a surgeon, and now being a hero, you know, learning how to do magic and all, being the sorcerer supreme, now he's arrogant in that area, right? And kind of like the superhero world. And we see that when he first interacts with Iron Man, with Tony Stark, and kind of just like him kind of wanting to run the show, call the shots, and but Iron Man obviously not, you know, wanting to put up with that. So yeah, you still get that like a little bit of arrogant Strange. Obviously, at the end of it, by the end of it all, he has to make that concession, right? By realizing that like the only way the world can be saved, is the universe can be saved, is by making the sacrifice, right? So that kind of helps, that leads towards his progression, right? Kind of making that realization that like he can't do it all himself, right? He does need to work with these other heroes. He has to work as a team, right? Kind of opening his mind a little bit more, making him a little bit more open to growth. Great. We see him in Endgame. We can't really take much from Endgame. He just kind of just shows up at the end and, you know, does what he has to do so that Thanos loses. We see him again in Spider-Man No Way Home. So at that point, he's a little bit more laid back, right? He's not Sorcerer Supreme anymore. He seems a little bit more kind of like what? Like cool uncle vibes, I guess you can say. Yeah, something along those lines, right? He wants to help out Peter, cool and all. we do see him make a very like strong stance against the multiverse beings, though, right? That is something to note. Where he is, dead set, saying that like, no, these guys got to go back. We can't worry about their stories. We can't worry about like their ailments or whatever. Like they got to go. They got to go. It's interesting to note because in this movie, right, he doesn't have that same attitude towards America, right? He's a lot like right from the get go, he's like wanting to help her, right? So you got to believe that, like, as like through the transgressions of his story, through the events of Infinity War, Endgame, No Way Home, he's kind of like becoming a little bit more open, a lot more open, you can say, right? And that reflects with something that I'm gonna touch on later on in this in the review in the video. His kind of like his journey to accept his acceptance of love, right? And it's just that kind of, I feel it, that goes hand in hand with just being open, right? So I found it to be, yeah, just a neat kind of progression of his character, right? Going from this like arrogant, like not willing to work with anyone, feels that he has to do it all on his own character, to this point where he's openly willing to protect America, even though there's something probably inside of him that says that maybe he shouldn't, right? And we see that with evidence, and that's even further evidenced by seeing all of the different variants of Doctor Strange in the different universes, right? All of them kind of having that same feature, right? That same attribute to the character, in that they can't concede any points, basically, right? And then we get this Doctor Strange, which it helps kind of just like make that distinction of his character and how this Doctor Strange in particular has progressed and how he's different from all the other Doctor Stranges that we've seen. So I think that's something, pretty interesting about his character. And Benedict Cumberbatch did a great job of portraying the different versions of himself too, right? I mean, you don't even think about it. I like to say this: when you have an actor kind of just like playing a role, and you don't even like think about the fact that he's an actor, right? If it gets to that point where the actor just kind of embodies the character, and you just like feel like the actor and character are one and the same, that's a good performance. And I feel like he does that with Doctor Strange, and even more so to point out, he does a good job with that, playing the evil Doctor Strange, right? It kind of just like falls into his lap. It's just very natural. Everything that he does, like, it's just very natural. And he does a great job. It's a great performance. The progression of the character is great. And the bowing too. His relationship with Wong, right? At the beginning, like Wong just kind of joking about it, like, it's normal to bow to the Sorcerer Supreme, right? He kind of just blows it off. And then by the end of the movie, he does it of his own free will, kind of just adding to that narrative that he's becoming more humble, he's becoming more open to growth, and it's nice. It's a nice progression to see in him. America, I don't think I like America as much, bro. I mean, was it bad? Is it bad if you, like, at the end of the movie, you're kind of just like, you're kind of rooting for America to die? I think that's bad, right? Yeah. So I think that kind of goes to show that I didn't like her as much. She's fine. The character, I don't know what it was. It just, I think she just didn't have enough to her, right? There wasn't enough like about her character to kind of like fall in love with her or kind of like connect with her, right? Yeah, more than anything, she kind of just felt like this kind of like the same way where they're kind of just like chasing after so and so object to to win, right? In that, there's a lot of that in this movie actually, with the Book of Ashanti, right? They're kind of chasing after that. Although I do like that at the end it was kind of subverted, because and once they get to it, it immediately gets destroyed, so it's rendered useless, right? When the entire movie just revolves around someone going after something, right? Just trying to like get to a certain object, right? To obtain that object, because that by obtaining that object, it'll solve everyone's problems, right? So they were kind of doing that with the Book of Ashanti, but they subverted expectations, so that's good. But I feel like America was just a human version of that, right? Except it wasn't the hero's, the protagonist's goal; it was the antagonist's goal. So is it still considered the same thing? Probably not. But what I'm trying to get at is that she felt more like an object, more in wow, that sounds horrible. Okay, I shouldn't say it like that, but it's too late. She felt more like just like this inanimate thing as opposed to a character, right? As opposed to an actual person. I don't know. And like the few moments that we do get of her, it kind of feels I don't know, man. It kind of feels like she was written by an old dude. I don't know. It just kind of just like when they were like sitting at the pizza shop, right? And towards the beginning, and Wong and Strange are talking to her, like trying to get more information, and just the way she was like the lines she was delivering and what she was saying, it just kind of felt like not an actual young person, but instead what an older person's idea of what a young person would say or sound like or act. That's what it felt like, right? So it kind of felt like disingenuous in that sense. And that was like, we didn't get a whole lot of that, right? We didn't get a whole lot from her as far as like for her to express the type of character that she was, except, you know, that moment was a good moment. But again, that's the kind of vibe that she gave up to me, at least. She likes pizza. That's cool. Um, everything's free, and then Papa Pizza comes at her. That was pretty funny. I like Papa Pizza overall. It wasn't enough. There wasn't enough there, right? And it makes sense because the main focus of the movie, right, character wise at least, was Wanda and Doctor Strange, right? It was pretty much as far as like themes and the kind of like I guess the lesson that you can take away from the story, or right, the moral line through it all. It's them two, right? It's them two and their different lessons in love. And I kind of love it. I love the kind of the themes at play with in regards to Wanda and Doctor Strange, and I found that they were kind of opposites, right? Antithesis to one another, right? Wanda on the one hand, she is trying to learn, right, throughout the movie, how to let go, right? Right? Her love, right? They both have a different journey in love. And I just love how they're kind of like polar opposites in the sense that Wanda, her journey is how to let go, right? She, her main thing is the love that she has for her kids and her wanting to, you know, have them in her life. But she has to learn by the end of the movie that she has to let that go, right? Just because she loves them doesn't necessarily mean that she has to be with them, right? And on the other hand, Doctor Strange, it's the complete 180, where he, instead of like having to learn to let go of love, right? He, on the other hand, has to get the strength and the courage to get to the point where he can accept love, right? Where he can accept that he loves Christine and he is not happy without her, right? I found that really nice as far as like the overall theme of the movie. I thought it was beautiful. That, yeah. So what I'm getting at is that was the main idea of the movie, right? Behind it. So it's tough. It's tough for to kind of tell a story for America as well, right? At least a compelling one. She's there. I feel like more than anything, she's just kind of like, they just kind of brought her in just because they're doing something's going to happen with like Young Avengers. It's obvious. It's like as plain as clear sight. They got like all these different characters lined up and ready to go. And she's brought in just for that sole purpose, you know? It kind of pretty much feels like that. It doesn't really feel like there's anything much more behind her character than that, right? Uh, it's a shame because I want to like her. Yeah, it's just not enough. And on top of that, some of the acting was a little rough, bro. It really was. When she, I think the one that stood out to me the most was when she was drinking the when her and Strange go into Mordo's Sanctum Sanctorum in that one universe, and they get the tea and they start like hallucinating, they start like tripping out, and then she's like, "Whoa, what'd you put in that tea?" She just immediately like knocks out. I was like, what just happened? I don't know, it caught me off guard. Just not the best acting, let's say, right? So yeah, it was the performance plus the writing plus it's just, yeah, America was not really like someone to really get behind, right? On top of the fact that she's like, her whole thing afterwards is like, no, I don't know, like I can't control it, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's, it was just wasn't compelling at all. At all. Yeah. And more than anything, she was just like, yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see if they do anything with interesting with her later down the line with, Young Avengers or whatever the hell. But yeah, it was enough. I mean, the main highlight was Wanda and Doctor Strange, right? Coming back to like the themes, right? The love, Wanda having to learn to let go, Strange having to learn to love. So here's kind of where my issues start to come in. The fact that it's very similar to WandaVision, almost identical, right? In the sense that they're both stories of like grief. They're both stories of like grief and having to let go. Only that WandaVision is for Vision, right? Wanda letting go of Vision. And the movie, right? Multiverse of Madness is her kind of having to let go of her kids. And it's safe to say that the WandaVision is much more compelling of the two, right? I feel like Multiverse of Madness, for what it had going for it, or I mean, for what it had to work with, right? Of course, a limited time frame. It was, I think it did a good job, right? But it's just that, WandaVision, you just have a lot more time with the characters, a lot more time to, explore those relationships, get into it. Yeah. Obviously it's going to be a lot more compelling, a lot more impactful. So that's why I feel like this movie is kind of like, I can't say that it's amazing. I can't say it's great because it kind of feels like there's already like a different version of the same story out there in WandaVision, and it's better. WandaVision is better, right? As far as telling that story, that like story of Wanda herself accepting the loss of a loved one, right? That's where I kind of start to feel like the movie just isn't like, I can't say that it's just like that it's all the way up there. It's good. I think I'd give it like an 8 out of 10, right? But I like it in terms of just staying on that topic of like the theme of Wanda having to let go of her love. I think it was good. It had good moments, especially I gotta say the ending, the conclusion of it all. Right, I really like the fact that it doesn't, again, just kind of similar to WandaVision, that it doesn't come down to just like a power struggle. Right, it's not like a beam struggle. It's not like, oh, like Doctor Strange shooting like a beam of magic and Wanda shooting her beam of magic, and like which one's like stronger. It's like, it doesn't come down to that, right? It comes down to Wanda, right? They put her in a position where she has to make that realization, right? The realization that the means of which she's trying to accomplish what she wants to accomplish, although in of itself is not bad. Or she just wants to be with her kids, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's something else that kind of makes her a great villain, right? Having a good motive behind what she's doing. But then the means, right? She loses herself almost completely, right? She loses herself and she's just like ripping through people, and literally too, just like ripping through people, and holy shit. My God, that scene. Oh my God. But before, I'll get to that. But before we do, yeah, by the end of it all, she finally gets into that position where she is able to make that, where she can come to that realization herself. I found it pretty funny because at the end of the day, it's the same exact thing that Wong told her like what is that, like halfway through the movie, right? Wong says, is it not enough knowing that they are like loved in other universes? Can you live like that? And she just sends him flying. Like, I think that was like the first thing that made me think, like, God damn, what a bitch. She just sends him flying, poor Wong. And then by the end of it, it's the same thing. She has to come to that realization, right? Only that she's hearing it from herself this time, right? It's like it's her alternate version self that walks up to her. And I thought that scene, that moment was so nice, right? She's just on her knees. She's just broken, defeated. She's just like she's just done, right? And like she walks up to herself and she just puts her hand on her cheek and she just says, just know they'll be loved, right? I thought that was nice. That was really nice. That was really well done. Although still, for me, it lacks in comparison to the kind of like intimate moments that we get like that in comparison, comparable to that in WandaVision, right? Now that we mentioned it, just kind of like the bloodbath that Wanda invoked. Holy bro, that shit was nuts. Oh my God, that was crazy. That scene was nuts, bro. Here's the thing. When they say the Illuminati is going to be in the movie, you do not think, right? Your first thought is not that they are all going to die. What the actual, wow, that was nuts. That was nuts. As far as the actual reveal of the Illuminati, well, let's see. How many were there? There's 6 of them, and we knew essentially of 4. 4 out of the 6 were pretty much in the trailers, right? That we knew of. The other 2, Black Bolt, I had no idea. I just looked this up right now. Oh, I wrote this guy's the name when I was looking through when the credits were rolling. I wrote down his name thinking that it was the actor for Captain Marvel, right? But I got that wrong. I guess I didn't look at it properly. I actually ended up writing the name of the actor of Black Bolt. And it's the same actor who played Black Bolt in the Inhuman series. The same actor, but he was in a different outfit. He had a different outfit on. He actually had his more traditional comic outfit, which looked pretty neat. But I didn't recognize him. It's the same exact dude, and I didn't recognize him, which is kind of nuts, because before knowing that, I was thinking to myself, he seemed kind of short. He seemed shorter than the actor that they got for the TV show. And it's the same exact dude. And I'm like, what? I'm stupid. So he's there. And then the biggest just blew my mind. Had no idea whatsoever he was going to be there. Bro, Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. What? Bro, I think I was kind of in shock for a second. I was like, what is happening? There is no way that this is happening right now. There's no way that they actually did it. So here's the thing. It's so cool that they got him to do that, right? It's so cool that they got him, because that is just like the one fan casting that like everyone just kept saying and repeating over and over. It needs to happen. It needs to be him. Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, and they fucking did it. And it's, oh my God, it was so surreal, bro, because when he showed up, it looked exactly like some edits that people just like made online, right? Just like some edited like photos of like him, his head, and the Mr. Fantastic suit, and it looked exactly like it, exactly. So it was just like it was hard to comprehend for a moment. Like when he showed up on the screen, I was like, huh? What? Is that him? Is that actually him? It was so good. It was awesome. So here's the bad side now to all this. It kind of feels like, I didn't recognize the actor for Captain Marvel, that it was Maria Rambeau. I kept staring at her, and I'm just looking at her, and I'm just like, she looks familiar. Who is this? I kept staring at it, and it wasn't until the bus ride home when I was coming back till I realized, till it just clicked, and I'm like, oh, it's Maria Rambeau. That makes perfect sense because they were both flying, right? And so instead of Carol getting into the accident, it was her, and she became Miss Captain Marvel, right? Makes perfect sense. So we got the actor that played Peggy, playing Captain Carter, the same actor that played Black Bolt in the series, playing that Black Bolt here. Maria Rambo playing this version of Captain Marvel, and Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, and of course Sir Isaac Newton. That's not his name. Sir Patrick Stewart, playing, of course, the legendary Professor X. It's so cool that Krasinski's there, but by doing that, by putting him there, I get the feeling that they just pretty much put the nail in the coffin for him actually appearing in the Fantastic Four movie that they're going to make. Because here's the thing, these are alternate versions of the characters, right? So ultimately, the Fantastic Four movie that we're going to get, it's not going to be the same, right? Granted, there are characters that are played by this, the same actor throughout the different multiverse versions, right? Of course, Benedict Cumberbatch, played all the different versions of Doctor Strange, right? That we saw on here. Ponytail Doctor Strange, evil Doctor Strange, right? That was all him, right? So maybe there's a chance, but I get the feeling that the Illuminati, right, that showed up there more than anything was fan service, and kind of just like this, kind of like, all right, we'll put him in here just to kind of like give the fans, that moment, but he's not going to be it. That's what I'm taking away from it. It's possible that it could be the same actor. They could get him. He could be Mr. Fantastic in Fantastic Four, but something tells me I'm leaning more towards that not happening, which kind of sucks. But I mean, if anything, yeah, I'm happy with this moment. Yeah, just because I didn't expect it whatsoever. It just blew my mind, bro. I love it. It was so good. So I'm kind of, I'll take it. I'm good with it. And all as a whole, it just felt like this moment was just like fan service city, right? The fact that they got Professor X there, the classic Professor X. Come on now. Peggy as Captain Carter, finally seeing it in IRL, right? After having already seen like a version of that animated in the What If series. Anybody out there who was maybe a fan of the Inhuman series, although God bless your soul, I don't know why you would be, but I mean, if you're out there, I mean, I'm sure that must have been like a nice moment to see him again reprise their role, right? So that must have been a nice moment for those people, wherever they are, if they exist. Fan service to the max. And then this is when we get the next, like, Wanda's kind of a bitch moment, right? Where she just kind of rips through them. And not only just rips through them, but the way she talked, Krasinski being kind of like the leader of the group when they first encounter, which I love, by the way. Oh my God, that was so good. That was so cool. I can't wait till the Fantastic Four movie, bro. And just having those characters interact with all the other heroes. So good. Anyway, yeah, him being the leader there, just kind of stepping up and saying like, hey, chill, like, you don't have to do this. Like, thinking about like her, thinking about do you think the boys, again, someone else is, on top of like Wong told her, someone else just trying to make her realize that like this isn't the right way to go about it. Oh, crazy. I just like that just popped into my mind right now. But yeah, another instance where someone's just trying to like let her know, this isn't the right way to go about it. And what does she say? Is the mother alive? Good. At least there's going to be someone to take care of the kids. What the actual fuck? Holy shit. Bro, what? Evil. Talk about evil, straight evil, diabolical, holy. And it's so good because it kind of like her intensity, right? Her intensity of like how evil and kind of just like scary she is. It grows, right? It kind of just like slowly increments as the movie goes on, right? And it's really cool because she states that in the beginning, right? When she attacks frick, I forgot the name. Kamar Taj. We're going with that. When she attacks the place where they had America at the start, she says it, right? This is me being reasonable, even attacking, doing what I'm doing. This is me being reasonable. And it's not until later when she has that like encounter with the Illuminati where we understand, truly understand what she meant by that. That holy she is, wow. Damn, ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. And then she just tears them apart. First Black Bolt imploding on himself, which was fuck. Oh my god, bro. That was the one where I think that was the one. I think that was like the only death that showed blood, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, it was like the only one where they actually showed blood on the person, right? That was, bro. That was the worst one, easily. Just like him imploding on himself like that. Oh, bro, it was like, what the yeah. I kind of I kind of wanted to think about the logistics of it a little bit. Kind of like, wait, would somebody with no mouth, if he makes a sound, does it still count? Wait. So technically he just did like an interior sound, like a hum, like a hmm. So can he not do that? Like he grunts, right? He grunts and he hums. So is he like hurting himself every time that he does that? Maybe. Questions that don't really need answers. But here's the thing. When it happened, I wanted to think of the logistics of it. I'm like, for a split second, I'm like, huh, does that make sense? But it was immediately just like pushed to the side by just like the how gruesome and how just like intense it was. Immediately, I was just like, oh my God, just, oh God. What a horrible way to go. That was like their one main one. All the other ones were like, with Captain Carter, we got to see like the blood on the shield afterwards, but not the actual like what actually happened to her, which is the implications that she got severed in half with her own shield. So that sucks. But they did such a good job, bro. And you know what it was? It was the fact that that moment, that scene is so good. So good. Now that I think about it more, because it just like, it shows her escalating, like, kind of just like ruthlessness, her willingness to just do anything to get to her final goal of like having the kids. And just like the how intense the like Black Bolt being taken out, and then I didn't even notice until like actually like thinking about it in my head afterwards, like everyone else was taken out was bloodless, right? And it makes sense, or else this movie would not have been rated PG-13, that's for sure, right? Kind of seems like they just put like all they had into like Black Bolt, and then everything afterwards just kind of just like rode the wave of that intensity. It feels like Captain Carter being split in half, Mr. Fantastic, which was I hated to see it, just being like stringed apart like freaking like string cheese, like spaghetti. No, why? Horrible. Captain Marvel being squished essentially, again bloodless. Captain Carter being split in half, and then also bloodless. Professor X. Professor X, it was really nicely done too. It was kind of just like so good, man. The more that I think about it, the more I'm falling in love with this movie. Just like how good it actually was. I think I was just like getting too in my head about like the implications of like the greater implications of the MCU and how it connects to everything else and what's ultimately going to happen later down the line in phase 4. I think I was just getting too in my head about that, because like just like breaking it down and thinking about it now, bro, it's great. Then again, I am just talking about this one scene in particular, but the Professor X1 was really nice in particular, because you get that like the battle of the minds, right? And you get that like the white room, and you got the TV. The TV was showing WandaVision. Oh my god, that was so good. The TV was showing WandaVision. Wanda was like under the rubble, and he was trying to get her out. Oh, so good. It was so good now that I think about it. And then you got the fog comes in, and then just in an instant, like almost jump scare. Done, bro. So good, so good, so good. So now here's the thing that I'm thinking: was it worth it? Was it worth it to do that with the quote unquote Illuminati? Because here's the thing, that was like the Illuminati in this particular universe, right? There can still be an Illuminati in universe 616, right? Which is now confirmed what the MCU universe is, which is kind of confusing because I think they gave the MC universe a separate number from the 616, which is the main comic book universe. I think they gave the MC universe a separate number. So now calling that 616 also, it's kind of like, I wonder what that's, I wonder what the logistics are behind that, but I don't have to worry about that. So that there can technically still be an Illuminati in the main universe, right? Where the MCU is happening. But now having been introduced already, having been mentioned already in a previous film, it's gonna lack that impact, of course, right? So you gotta like kind of think, was it worth it, right? Was it worth it having them there just to be killed off like that so quickly? Thinking about it, kind of yes, right? Because the idea behind the Illuminati is that it's like the strongest heroes, like the strongest heroes of that universe. What happened to the Iron Man of that universe? I want to know. What the heck? He's there because Ultron was there. They built Ultron. Also, that's also one of the things that I was kind of like, I was expecting to see him, right? There were leaks saying that Superior Iron Man was going to show up, essentially, played by Tom Cruise. I don't know how much I believed that part of it, but I believe that a superior Iron Man could have shown up, definitely. And it would have made all the sense in the world. Plus, Ultron was there. So that world had to have had, like, it had to, right? It had to have had an Iron Man. Unless maybe something happened to Iron Man after he developed Ultron. Yeah, interesting. I'd like to know that. I wonder if we'll ever find out what happened to the Iron Man of that universe. But yeah, that's actually one of the rumors that I kind of wish would have fleshed out. That would have been, I feel like that would have been interesting to see. It would have been cool to see that. Although I do wish it would have been Robert Downey Jr., right? Instead of Tom Cruise, if going by the rumors, right? But you know what? I think him not showing up kind of gives credence to the fact, again, that like the people that they did make show up there for that, cameo for the Illuminati there, I think those people are not coming back, right? I think there's still a chance that we can see like maybe a superior Iron Man or later down the line, especially with like so many different, like a couple of different Iron Man related works coming down the line with Armor Wars and Riri Johnson, Ironheart, right? There's a chance. So we'll see what happens. So I think it makes sense. And I think in the long run, it was just like the main purpose behind it was to kind of show off the fact that like, look, these are the strongest heroes of this universe. And look what Wanda's doing to them. Just making them putty, just like ruining them completely. I think that's the story behind it. The intention behind it. And it definitely got the job done. Yeah. Without a doubt. Oh, okay, so the Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange, right? Versus the evil Doctor Strange. Which, by the way, we got debated, right? They showed us Captain Carter, they showed us Evil Strange, knowing that we would think that it's the what if versions of those characters, basically the versions that we saw in the What If animated series. And that is Not the case whatsoever. What if just like is something completely separate? It has absolutely nothing to do with what showed up in Multiverse of Madness. So we got debated. The fight between the Doctor Stranges, it was interesting. I found it very interesting. I had a friend of mine say that he didn't like the music in the movie and how the music worked. And I have something I'm imagining, I haven't talked to him yet, but I am imagining that it has something to do with like how that battle played out. That music battle, that was cool. I thought it was cool. I mean, it was unique. Let's say that at the very least, it was unique. Maybe, I feel like maybe it could have been executed a little bit better. But I thought it was a cool idea, right? The idea of it was cool, kind of like taking the music notes and like throwing them at him, and then he makes the scale to kind of like have them to deflect them, and then like the music in the background is playing out like what they're doing with their attacks. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really unique, and it's interesting because from that moment, the music like continues as a kind of like a very like strong cue, right, for things that are happening, right, all the way up to the very end where like Doctor Strange just like crumbles on like walking down the street. He just like has his little attack, and you hear like that like mean like guitar playing like just like screeching. So I thought that was cool. That was pretty cool. And also, never in a million years would I have guessed when they showed like the zombie Doctor Strange in the commercials and the promos and stuff. Never would I have guessed that he was being controlled by like the actual Doctor Strange, and there ended up being a showdown between like zombie demon Doctor Strange versus Wanda Scarlet Witch. That was nuts. That was crazy. That was so cool though. And also just like having that little like struggle moment where he kind of like had to like he couldn't get it right away, right? He kind of like had to adapt to like being able to work with like the spirits of the damned, right? The hell monsters, whatever that you want to call them. Because it's not something that he was used to, right? Having never read the Darkhold or anything like that version of Doctor Strange. I thought it was really cool. And I liked ultimately at the end that the final altercation, the final battle, whatever you want to call it, it didn't depend on that, right? It wasn't like that the zombie Doctor Strange versus Wanda. And it didn't even come down to America. They had that little moment, which is very funny and was very like on the nose. It was almost to the point where it was kind of like almost cringe, where Doctor Strange is like, no, you can do it. You just have to believe in yourself. And she's like, I can do it. It's like, yeah, wink. Yeah. And then she goes and is like, and she's like, immediately, he's like, oh, fuck, I can't do this. Holy shit. I thought it was funny, bro. I don't know. But I like the fact that it didn't come down to that, right? It didn't come down to anybody like actually physically or overpowering Wanda, right? Because, bro, she's a force, right? The Scarlet Witch. I like that it came down to her, like putting her in that scenario where she finally came to the realization, right, that the means don't justify the ends, right? And just comes full circle with the theme of the story, her having to let go of her love, her grief, handle it in a proper and healthy way, and what's the word? Yeah, having to come to that realization herself after like a couple of characters in the movie itself were trying to tell her the same exact thing, but she didn't want to hear it, because a lot of times that's what it comes down to. We don't want to hear advice from people. We don't want to accept advice from people. We don't want to, especially like if our parents tell us like, don't do that, or your teachers or anyone with anyone with authority or anyone with power over you telling, like, don't do this, don't do that, you're going to regret it, it's going to be bad, right? We don't care. We don't want to listen. We're going to do it either way, right? It's not until you actually do it and you actually like go through and you realize, oh, this shit sucks, right? I shouldn't have done this. And that's what she had to realize. I love that. That was good. Oh, the smile that she gave. It was Bro, it was so like it was borderline cringe. It was like I don't know. It was funny though. I found it was funny. It worked perfectly, right? It worked perfectly in the sense that like she ultimately at the end of the day wasn't the one to kind of like beat Wanda, right? She didn't like physically like beat her. Although it was pretty cool, like the fact that like they made us think for a second that it might have happened, right? And she opened up a portal to like what seemed to be like hell. Yeah, and she was gonna like knock her in there, but then Wanda, you know, got her footing back and like pushed her back, and that's when she realized, holy shit, I can't deal with her. She's too much. That was cool. It played out perfectly. The more it's funny because like I came out of the movie kind of like a little wishy washy, but the more I've been talking about it, the more I'm like I'm falling in love with it even more. So I'm gonna start to talk about like the things that actually kind of made me a little bit like kind of like, yeah, maybe it wasn't so good, right? When I first came out of the theater. Here's the thing with the MCU, like Phase 4, and kind of like the disappointing thing with this movie. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea, like, what's up with Phase 4. Like, not a clue. I cannot make heads or tails of it. And it kind of sucks because it kind of felt like this movie, right? The Multiverse of Madness. It felt like this was the movie that was going to kind of like put everything all together, right? Kind of just like maybe just like give a focus to like what Phase 4 was going to be, or like what overall was going to happen for the future of the MCU. And this movie didn't do that. This movie actually was very kind of like self-contained, if you think about it, right? Because not a whole lot, at the end of the day, not a whole lot was affected. I want to say like the only like lasting consequence from this movie is that Wanda is gone. She's out of the picture, right? She's no longer there. But other than that, it just like, even with like the way like Doctor Strange and Wong kind of played it off at the end of the day, it kind of just seemed like it was just like another just like hijinks that they went on, right? Just like an adventure that they went on, and that's it. And I kind of like, before coming into it, I kind of thought that it was going to have larger implications for the, you know, the overall scale of the MCU. It's funny because where, you know, a lot of the strength of the MCU as a whole and the movies that have come out is the fact that they are all interconnected, right? So you have the opportunity for like, you know, cameos or people who from this movie showing up in this movie, and like things from this movie affecting this movie, right? And it feels like for this movie, for the most part, right, I feel like that system, right, that like that has worked in its favor for the movies, right? It's usually been something positive for these movies. And I feel like this is like the first movie where it kind of bit it in the ass a little bit. It kind of like the fact that this movie took place in a larger MCU. You think about like a lot of the other things that like, hey, like, why didn't Vision show up? Right? He's out there. Like, sure, it's not the same Vision, but like, it's Vision. He's out there. He's got his memories. He knows who Wanda is. It seems so weird that an entire movie where like Wanda was like one of the principal, like one of the main like characters. It seems so weird that Vision was only mentioned once, and he was mentioned in passing. He wasn't really even mentioned like directly, right? She just kind of said like, "Oh, Vision talked about the multiverse," and that's it. Never heard about Vision again, right? Yes, I mean technically he's dead, but like, I mean, like they introduced us to this white Vision. He's out there. What the heck is he doing? When are they going to show us what he's doing? Right? I don't know. So I think so coming out of the movie, that's kind of like the stuff that like made me think that like maybe like, and overall I'm just thinking like, where are they going with this? Like, what is Phase 4? What's going to happen? I think the only like thing that I can safely say without a doubt is that they're going to do young Avengers, right? Because all the characters are there. They have them set up, lined up, ready to go. That's for sure. But other than that, I can't make heads or tails as far as like the multiverse stuff. Like, trying to like make sense of this along like with what's going on in Loki and supposedly Kang the Conqueror, he's supposed to be like the big like baddie for like the phase 4 as a whole. I can't make it. I don't know. I just don't know. I think that's like one of the disappointing things, or one of the things that kind of left me thinking that like what's up? What's gonna happen? You know? But you do have to take into consideration that doesn't affect the movie itself, right? If we just look at this movie, you know, as a standalone, not having to do with the rest of the MCU, it was great. It was great. It was fantastic, right? I don't think it was 10 out of 10, but it was good. It was damn good. It was entertaining. It had good moments. It had Krasinski. The ending was kind of weird too, right? Because the movie ends with him like, we see like the evil Strange got into him somehow, right? The third eye pops up. He's falling apart in the middle of the street. Credits roll, and then immediately we see him again walking down the street. Okay, so I'm thinking like, okay, is this maybe this is like a different version of Strange? Like, what's going on? And then freaking Charlize Theron comes out of nowhere and is like, wait, what? We gotta go. It's like, and then he's like, yeah, let's go. And then his third eye pops up and like, whoa, wait, what? Too much is happening. What the heck? Just, I'm dying, bro. They didn't even like give us a chance to digest that, right? The fact that like he had like the evil Doctor Strange got into him. And then all of a sudden he's okay with it, and he's just like rolling with it. Okay, cool. What is going on? It's so confusing. I feel like this movie, maybe we may appreciate it a little bit more once we get like and that's one of the advantages of the MCU too, right? Everything has kind of like a as they keep releasing new stuff, right? Whether it be series, movies, everything that came before it, and everything that came before it kind of gets like added value to it, right? All of a sudden, as you get like more context of like what is happening, if you go back and watch older stuff, right? If you go back and watch the first Doctor Strange, the first Iron Man, whatever, all of a sudden you're able to like, you start to like pick up on things that you maybe didn't pick up on before, right? That's kind of like the how like the whole system that they got set up with this. With all of these movies being interconnected. So, and I feel like this movie may benefit from that in the future. Once we actually get a clearer picture of like what Phase 4 is and what they're going to do with Phase 4, I feel like maybe we can come back to this and appreciate it a little bit more. There you go. Iron Man 1, 10 rings being in there. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of like little stuff like that. So yeah, that was like the main issue with. But now that I think about it, it's not that much of an issue at all. I think my main issues were that kind of like, and again, that lies on expectations, right? Kind of the same thing that happened to me with Spider-Man, right? I had certain expectations of like what was going to happen. And because of that, it just kind of like, it ruins the experience, right? It's kind of like, it's the saying, right? Don't expect anything and you can't be disappointed, right? You have certain expectations when you come into the movies. And if they don't pan out that way, right? Or maybe another way that can satisfy that same itch that you're looking for, you're going to ultimately just kind of like take it as an L and just kind of like, it's going to put you down, right? But I think that's something that lies more on the viewer, right? That's not an actual issue with like the media itself, with the movie, with the series, whatever it may be, right? So, but other than that, I think my other main issue is America. I didn't like her all that much. But other than that, I think the movie was great. Like, I was kind of worried about the with the promos that they were releasing. I was kind of worried about the visual effects, because in some of those promos it looked a little wonky, right? But having watched it in like IMAX 3D, you know, the big screen, I feel like it did it more justice. It helped out a lot. It kind of like fleshed out a lot of those things that looked a little bit wonky, and it kind of made it look a lot better. And there were some moments that just looked fantastic, right? When Doctor Strange and America were just like rolling through the different universes, That was awesome. That was great. That looked so cool. When Wanda got trapped into when Doctor Strange like trapped her in like that mirror cage or whatever, that was so cool. And then she like starts coming through the puddles. Oh man, I'd forgotten about that. She starts like looking through the reflections in the puddles, and then she comes out like all tangled up. Oh fuck, so good. Chills. There were a lot of like exposition moments in the movie, and it was just kind of like conveniently there. It was a convenient exposition, right? The main example is like when America and Doctor Strange get to that new universe, and they're walking down the street, and like they walk in front of this store that like let us show you your memories, right? And then you get like Doctor Strange. She sees the moment Christine gives him the watch, and America sees the moment that she gets separated from her parents, and it's just like I don't know, it's like a little like cheap, I feel, to get like exposition that way. It's just like it's like so convenient, like this thing that can just like easily show us like moments from your past. Wow, great. I don't know, I mean I start to think, is that any better than like a flashback or like the character themselves talking about the moment? Is that any better, really? Maybe. I don't know. I think it depends on the execution, and it just felt a little cheap there to me. Sarah. Oh shit, Sarah. Bro, that was badass, right? No idea who this person is, right? She shows up, she like first show her like at the moment where Wanda's attacking the Kamartaj. It looks like she gets knocked out, right? Whether she's dead, who knows, but she's out for the count. And then she shows up later. She's like, we gotta we gotta take out the Darkhold. Wong's like, get me out of here. It's like, no, not you. And she just goes in there and boom, and that looked so good too. The effect of her like just like incinerating like that. Whoa, that looked so good. That was so good. That moment was badass. Like I don't know who that was, but good job, Sarah. And then the after credit scene with yeah, Charlize Theron. I don't even know what to make of that, to be honest. I like whatever. It's too much for me. I can't care at this point. We'll see what happens later down the line, but right now, whatever. All right, that's Doctor Strange 2. Overall, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed I enjoyed it very much. Bro, I hardly have like any issues with it. I think I liked it more than I even knew. But yeah, there you go.